Long story short, they came in, had us escorted off the property, was going to take over the business. In 3 days, we had the ability to go back in. We borrowed a bunch of money from Charity's dad to pay a lawyer, go in and basically force them out of the business, turn it into a simple loan. But they did basically try to steal my company and turn it into a Mopar restoration shop.
Did Dave Kindig lose everything after his clients turned against him? The man who transformed rusty relics into million-dollar masterpieces on national television suddenly found himself defending his empire in court. Over 30 clients banded together with shocking allegations that threatened to dismantle everything he'd built over 2 decades. The payments kept coming, but where were the finished cars? What started as dreams of custom automotive perfection turned into nightmares of empty promises and legal battles. After 11 seasons of Bitchin Rides made him a household name, whispers began circulating about what really went down behind those gleaming shop doors in Salt Lake City, when 30 professionals united. The story that shook Dave Kindig's world began innocently enough in 2019. A collective of over 30 chiropractors and wellness professionals from across the United States approached Kindig-it Design with an ambitious vision. They wanted to commission a fully restored and customized 1974 Dodge Charger that would represent the pinnacle of the shop's renowned creativity. The agreed budget was jaw-dropping, $670,000. This wasn't pocket change, even for a high-end custom shop that regularly worked with wealthy clients. The group paid over $230,000 up front in deposits and initial build costs, trusting that the magic Dave had demonstrated on television would transform their classic Charger into something extraordinary. But as months turned into years, something went terribly wrong. The pandemic hit, supply chains collapsed, and delays mounted. By 2021, the group's patience had worn thin. They requested thorough updates on their investment and the progress of their dream build. What they received instead were evasive answers and, increasingly, complete silence. When they finally demanded to see what their money had produced, the reality was crushing. After paying more than half the total cost, all they had was a bare shell of a Dodge Charger. No drivetrain, no interior work, no functional parts, just metal bones with no heart. The chiropractors felt betrayed, stonewalled, and desperate for answers. Their frustration reached a breaking point, and in 2022, they took Dave Kindig and Kindigit Designs to court. For Dave, this represented more than just a legal headache. This was a direct assault on the reputation he'd spent over 2 decades carefully building. The man who'd started designing cars at age 5, who'd turned childhood dreams of Hot Wheels and Legos into a thriving empire, now faced accusations that struck at the core of everything he'd worked for. The man behind the controversy. To understand how Dave ended up in this situation, you need to know where he came from. Born on February 6, 1971 in Salt Lake City, Utah, Dave grew up in what he described as very poor circumstances in the Rose Park area. His mother had a talent for building and creating things with her hands, and that creative spark passed down to her son. While other kids were playing sports, Dave was sketching cars. By age 5, he was already drawing automotive designs, his imagination racing faster than any engine he'd later build. His toys weren't action figures or video games, but Hot Wheels, Legos, and plastic model cars that he'd customize and modify, changing their colors, wheels, and stance. At 17, Dave discovered Volkswagen Beetles and started chopping them up, customizing them in ways that caught people's attention. He was completely self-taught, watching other people work and absorbing every technique like a sponge. Soon, friends and neighbors were lining up, asking him to do custom work on their vehicles. But Dave needed a real job. For 8 years, he worked at High Performance Coatings in Salt Lake City, a position that gave him invaluable experience traveling across the United States, meeting car builders and designers, learning the industry inside and out. His first major design job came from Arizona Speed and Marine, designing their 1999 Chevrolet Silverado, which got featured in Truckin' magazine. That exposure launched his design career into overdrive. Meanwhile, Dave's personal life was taking shape. At a dance club, he met Charity, a fellow car enthusiast whose father was a hot rodder and car club member. She'd built a '67 Chevelle Malibu with her father, making her the coolest girl in the parking lot. When Dave and Charity connected, it wasn't just romance. It was a partnership built on shared passion. They married on July 11, 1992, and soon started building a family. After working for others for years, Dave grew restless. He wanted to build his own business, to turn his creative vision into reality without answering to anyone else's clock. Charity supported the dream, but told him to wait until their youngest child was born. True to his word, just 6 weeks after their son Drew was born in 1999, Dave quit his job at High Performance Coatings. He was 27 years old. He cashed in his $401k retirement account, took every penny they had saved, and launched Kindig-it design from their home garage. No loans, no investors, just raw determination and talent. Building an empire from nothing. The early days of Kindig-it design were anything but glamorous. Dave and Charity started in their garage, working on projects for family and friends. The demand for Dave's unique designs grew faster than they anticipated. Within months, they moved into a leased 4,500 square foot shop in Salt Lake City. Their first major project came from an unexpected source: Uglies.com, an underwear manufacturer. They wanted a PT Cruiser customized with hand-painted panels featuring prints from their underwear designs. It was quirky, it was different, and it got massive attention. Local newspapers featured the car, and suddenly Kindig-it design was on the map. After 2 years of steady growth, they needed more space. They moved into a 9,000 square foot facility. The timing couldn't have been worse. The grand reopening happened on September 11, 2001. As the country reeled from tragedy and the economy tanked, most new businesses would have folded. But Dave and Charity pushed through, continuing to build show-stopping vehicles for clients who wanted one-of-a-kind quality. The awards started rolling in. In 2007, Kindig-it won the GM Design Award at the SEMA show for their '37 Chevy Coupe. They won Utah's finest multiple times at the Salt Lake City Autorama. The Good Guys shows gave them Fab 5 picks repeatedly. In 2013, they took home the Ford Design Award at SEMA for their stunning 1965 Ford Galaxy. By this point, Kindig-it design had expanded to a massive 27,000 square foot facility with state-of-the-art metal fabrication and paint facilities, plus in-house upholstery. They employed over 40 people. The shop became a one-stop destination where clients could bring their automotive dreams and watch them transform into rolling masterpieces. Dave's unique approach set him apart from other builders. He didn't just restore cars, he reimagined them, keeping classic lines while modernizing every aspect. His designs were clean, smooth, and instantly recognizable. When someone saw a Kindig build, they knew it immediately. Television producers noticed. In 2014, Dave got the opportunity that would change everything. Velocity TV, later rebranded as Motor Trend, wanted to create a reality series centered around Kindig-it design. Dave was terrified at first. He'd built his reputation in the shop, not in front of cameras. But he took the leap. Bitchin Rides premiered on September 2nd, 2014, and became an instant hit. Viewers loved watching Dave and his team, including shop foreman Kevin Sheila, transform vehicles from concept to completion. The show featured incredible builds: a '33 Ford Tudor, a '57 Chevrolet Corvette, an Audi R8 Spider, a '69 Camaro, a '62 Volkswagen Bus, and even the rare GM Futureliner No. 3. The exposure skyrocketed Dave's fame. His Instagram following climbed toward 500,000. Wealthy clients from around the world contacted the shop, willing to pay premium prices and wait years for a Kindig creation. The business was reportedly bringing in $8 to $12 million annually. But with fame came pressure. The television schedule demanded constant content. Clients wanted their builds featured on the show. The shop was juggling dozens of six-figure projects simultaneously. And Dave's creative vision sometimes clashed with the brutal realities of deadlines, budgets, and client expectations. The allegations surface. The chiropractor lawsuit didn't pull punches. Filed in 2022, the complaint accused Kindigit of fraud, breach of contract, and intentional infliction of emotional distress. These weren't minor complaints about slow service or miscommunication. The plaintiffs claimed that Kindig-it deliberately misrepresented their ability to complete the project while continuing to collect payments they knew they couldn't deliver on. The evidence presented in court was damning. Photographs showed nothing but that bare charger shell after the initial teardown. Invoices demonstrated that large payments had been made early in the project, yet the build had barely moved beyond stripping the car down to metal. The group argued this wasn't simply unfortunate timing or pandemic-related delays. They called it deliberate fraud, designed to keep their money while providing virtually nothing in return. Beyond the financial loss, the plaintiffs described serious emotional toll. Court documents detailed how some members lost sleep over the situation. Others felt betrayed and anxious, having invested not just money but their trust and dreams into this project. The word stonewalled appeared repeatedly in their filings, describing how Kindig-it eventually stopped responding to their concerns altogether. Before filing the lawsuit, the chiropractors had attempted alternative dispute resolution. They engaged in mediation sessions, hoping to settle the dispute privately and salvage something from the wreckage. Those efforts collapsed. The sessions broke down due to conflicting expectations and what the plaintiffs described as Kindigit's refusal to offer reasonable refunds or completion timelines. Kindig-it responded through their legal team, denying any intentional wrongdoing. Their defense pointed to factors outside their control: the pandemic's catastrophic impact on manufacturing, supply chain disruptions that affected the entire automotive industry, labor shortages that plagued custom shops everywhere, and delays from vendors and suppliers that created cascading problems. They argued that the delays weren't malicious, but rather the unfortunate reality of building custom cars during unprecedented global challenges. The company maintained that they intended to complete the project, but that circumstances beyond their control made timelines impossible to predict. They pushed back against the fraud allegations, insisting that they'd acted in good faith throughout the process. But the damage was done. When the lawsuit became public, other clients began stepping forward with their own stories, and the pattern they revealed was impossible to ignore. A pattern nobody expected. One customer claimed they'd waited over 3 years for a Camaro rebuild that never progressed beyond the bodywork stage. Despite repeated follow-ups and substantial payments, the car sat incomplete in the shop. Another client described making large deposits only to have their calls and emails go unanswered for months. They felt ignored and abandoned, watching their money disappear into a shop that seemed to have forgotten they existed. These weren't all on the same financial scale as the $670,000 Charger debacle, but taken together, they suggested something more systemic. Multiple customers reporting strikingly similar experiences created a troubling narrative. Slow timelines that stretched from months into years, poor communication that left clients in the dark, incomplete projects that never seemed to reach the finish line, and extreme difficulty getting refunds or even straight answers. Legal experts watching the situation noted that repeated complaints could seriously damage any brand, even without additional lawsuits being filed. Public trust, once broken, is incredibly difficult to rebuild. For a business that relied heavily on reputation and the premium prices that came with it, these revelations posed an existential threat to everything Dave had built. The situation was complicated by Dave's celebrity status. Bitchin Rides had made him one of the most recognizable names in custom car building. The show showcased stunning transformations and highlighted the artistry of the craft. Every episode featured Dave's creative genius, his team's incredible skills, and satisfied clients driving away in their dream machines. But television creates unrealistic expectations. Viewers saw builds completed in 45-minute episodes, edited to remove all the boring waiting, the supply chain headaches, the vendor delays, and the communication breakdowns. They saw only the magic, never the messy reality of managing a custom shop, trying to balance television production schedules with actual client work. Clients came to Kindigit believing they were getting the absolute best in the business, worth waiting for and paying premium prices that sometimes exceeded $500,000 for a single vehicle. When those sky-high expectations crashed into the reality of delayed projects, poor communication, and incomplete builds sitting in the shop for years, the disappointment cut deeper than it would have with any ordinary custom shop. What made it worse was that this wasn't Dave's first encounter with the legal system. While the chiropractor lawsuit grabbed headlines, it wasn't actually his first rodeo with courtroom battles. Legal history repeats. Back in 2015, Kindig-it Design found itself in a very different kind of legal fight. Creative Controls, a Michigan company known for patented automotive mobility solutions, sued Kindigit for allegedly using their proprietary technology for paraplegic car controls without proper authorization. The case centered on intellectual property, specifically patented advancements in adaptive driving systems that helped people with disabilities operate vehicles. This wasn't about aesthetics, build quality, or customer satisfaction. It was about whether Kindigit had crossed legal lines by incorporating someone else's patented innovations into their builds without proper licensing or permission. In a twist that showcased the complexity of the custom car industry, Kindigit filed counterclaims against Creative Controls, asserting that the Michigan company had unlawfully used Dave Kindig's original design concepts and graphic elements. The case became a tangled web of patent law, design copyright concerns, and jurisdictional questions that the court had to navigate before even addressing the merits of either side's claims. Ultimately, the court made a split decision. It found that Kindigit had adequately proved that Creative Controls maintained sufficient contacts with Utah to establish jurisdiction, but couldn't prove that Creative Controls had actually violated their patents or copyrights. The case largely faded from the docket after October 2017, with many industry observers believing it ended in an out-of-court settlement or dismissal. This earlier legal battle highlighted an important reality that many car enthusiasts don't realize. The custom car industry operates in a legal minefield of intellectual property concerns. When builders showcase their work on national television platforms, their designs become easier for competitors to imitate, and simultaneously more valuable to protect through patents and copyrights. Without proper licenses and crystal-clear agreements, even minor design decisions can lead to intricate legal battles that drain massive amounts of time, money, and resources. A custom door handle design, a unique paint technique, or an innovative fabrication method can all potentially become subjects of intellectual property disputes. For Dave, these legal entanglements represented serious distractions from what he loved, designing and building incredible cars. But they were becoming an unavoidable part of operating at the highest levels of the custom automotive world. The final curtain falls. On November 1st, 2024, Dave Kindig made an announcement that stunned fans who'd followed his journey for over a decade. Bitchin Rides would conclude with its 11th season. After more than 145 episodes showcasing some of the coolest custom cars in the country, The show that had made Dave a household name was coming to an end. The timing was notable. The announcement came as the lawsuits and client complaints were still circulating in automotive circles and online forums. Season 11 premiered on March 12, 2025, and wrapped up on June 11, 2025. In his Facebook message announcing the finale, Dave expressed deep gratitude to fans who'd supported the show through 11 incredible seasons. He promised that the final season would feature some of the team's absolute best work, including coverage of their Riddler Award-winning project that took an extraordinary 4.5 years to complete. But behind the scenes, the ending wasn't entirely Dave's choice. The cancellation coincided with massive changes in the television industry that were beyond anyone at Kindig-it's control. Motor Trend Plus, the streaming service that had become the show's home in recent years, was shut down in early 2024 as part of Warner Bros. Discovery's corporate reshuffling and cost-cutting measures. Most Motor Trend shows migrated to Discovery Plus and Max, but the entire production landscape had fundamentally changed. Budgets tightened, programming decisions shifted, and automotive content, while beloved by dedicated fans, didn't always fit into the new corporate strategy. The combination of network changes, rising production costs, the shadow of legal troubles, and shifting viewer habits created a perfect storm. While Dave emphasized publicly that Kindig-it Design would absolutely continue building custom cars and exploring other avenues to showcase their work, the loss of the television platform that had amplified his brand for 11 seasons was undeniably significant. Television had brought Dave fame, wealthy clients, and opportunities he never could have imagined when he started in his garage. Losing it meant returning to a more traditional business model, building cars for clients who found him through reputation, word of mouth, and social media rather than national television exposure. So what really happened to Dave Kindig? The truth is more nuanced than either complete vindication or total downfall. As of January 2026, Dave Kindig is still very much in business and still building incredible cars. Kindig-it Design continues operating from its 27,000 square foot facility in Salt Lake City, Utah. The shop still employs over 40 skilled craftsmen, fabricators, painters, and mechanics. Dave's wife, Charity, remains vice president and co-owner. Their daughter, Bailey, manages marketing, social media, and the company's websites. Their son, Drew, works in the business, fabricating the company's iconic custom door handles and other components. The company remains active in the custom car scene. They recently showcased vehicles at the 2025 SEMA show in partnership with AkzoNobel. His Instagram account shows nearly 500,000 followers still engaged with his work. The shop continues taking on high-end projects, including their signature CF1 Corvettes that can sell for anywhere from $500,000 to $770,000 each. Estimates of Dave and Charity's combined household net worth range from $10 million to $16 million, with most sources settling around $12 to $13 million as of late 2025. The business reportedly brings in $8 to $12 million annually, with profit margins typical of high-end custom shops running at 20 to 30%. But the legal troubles undeniably left their mark. Trust, once damaged in the custom car world, requires more than stunning builds to repair. The Dave Kindig story isn't finished. It's still being written, one custom build at a time. What are your thoughts about Dave Kindig? We'll like to hear from you. If you enjoyed this video, be sure to like and subscribe to our channel. For more interesting stories like this, be sure to click on the next video that pops up on your screen. You never know what you'll discover next.